can they be creatively manipulated. These are therefore the stems or initiatory roots which point upwards on the arbor philosophorum or philosopher's tree. This is glyphed in the form of the ophidian or serpent power as it unfurls its coils and begins to climb the 22 branches seen as paths that link the sephirotic system on the Tree of Life. The system is glyphed by 10 vessels, ace to 10, and which are then linked by a series of initiatory paths, glyphed by the 22 atu, or trumps of the tarot. The Tree of Life, Etz Chaim, is sometimes wrongly identified as that of the Tree of Knowledge, Etz Hadath. This, however, is not totally wrong, considering the ophidian current can be activated from either top down or bottom up, and the current was originally projected downwards, catabasis, and into the shattered vessels, and thence by magic and a structural use of our memories can then be activated, and which provides for the return journey or anabasis. To achieve this, we can use the tarot, and which by magically activating or using the iconography and glyphs provided on the atu, and whereby the ophidian line is drawn down and then invoked, and which can then point the way to what in alchemical terms we can refer to, and this is the important point, the manufacture of the universal alchemist or the elixir of life. This can only be created from the red and white glutens. The student would do well to understand that alchemy and the tarot abound in occult glyphs and iconography, in which the practitioner must firstly decode and then learn how to unify both nominally, that is by manipulating colours and the phenomena as designed on the tarot cards. Thus, by using the mind's eye in hand, we find in both alchemy and tarot, we can refer this process to that known as conjunctio, or the celestial and terrestrial union which takes place through the hieros gamos, and as such, as we see demonstrated in the performance of Liber 15, otherwise the Gnostic Mass. However, a warning to students activating the current in that one should be very aware of the various Decnamen, that is coded terms, used by initiates in both alchemy and the tarot. For indeed, we find coded terms being used in general throughout most forms of esotericism and occult studies, and even more so when referring to actual praxis. Yet in saying this, don't be fooled by the use of these Decnamen, for they possess genuine magical and alchemical significance. As such, a glyph like any other, we find that the Tree of Life brings together the values we represent as such in alchemy, that which we also refer to as our lapis philosophorum or philosopher's stone, and also in magic by way of analogy through invocation and initiation along the paths on the tree, and whereby we can further achieve identification and reunification through the central vessel of Tifereth, beauty. And thence by adeptly crossing through the veil of the abyss, we then strive to conquer dispersion and our ego consciousness to reach the true sea or palace of understanding that is Binah as Magister Templi, on the way to wisdom as Chokhmah, becoming a Magus, and which can then lead to that of the one true crown of Kether as Ipsissimus. For this journey, the student of tarot will initially need to purify those subconscious atavisms, as indeed so does the alchemist, who must discover and cleanse the materia prima. For indeed, and as I have hinted, the occult roots of both subjectio can be found in the original Kabbalistic husks, which lie hidden in the foundation of Yesod, and that glyphed deep within the Tree of Knowledge, Etz Hadath, that is deep within the original layer of the subconscious. Magically manipulated, this is perhaps more familiar from those who understand the dark entities which are represented through nightside visions, otherwise seen in those associated with the dark dynasties of ancient Egypt. These are primarily a reworking of the entities represented beneath the tide of the Egyptian Duat, otherwise At Keki, the Chamber of Darkness, and the Shetit, or the Beyond. For it is here, at this level, that the practitioner must esoterically learn to purify those clifothic husks, achieved by creatively manipulating the magical, alchemical and hidden significance of those glyphed at the root of the tarot and alchemy, and which is signified by the materia prima, described metaphorically as that of a downward tending darkness, hence its various Decnamen, and from which the starry cosmos is produced by that of a primordial genesis, as that of a coming into being, vis-a-vis cosmic duality and corporeality, and through which, in alchemy, we must discover, manipulate, separate and unify the materia prima. This practice we describe as a form of celestial agriculture, and which entails the operation of the sun as glyphed as a dot within a circle. Simultaneously, this double current, e.g. energia, energies entwined as solar and lunar, and their creative dynamis, the powers, are represented through the phenomenon of birth, life, death and rebirth. This is captured both in reality and metaphorically through a series of inextricable relations. But as a whole, every part is in the same sense actively alive. This interpretation is close to the way that we have merely reinvented our own understanding of the Hermetic principle, and whereby on a corporeal, biochemical level, life can be identified and unified through system thinking, noesis, using several categories of relations, diversity, and indeed that of their context. Furthermore, we find on the corporeal level we can discover